Welcome to Stepping Up to Your Potential. I'm Sandra Robinson, inviting you to journey into the deeper currents of transformation and healing together. I'll explore insights which aim to connect the dots and reveal the bigger story of our collective growth and amazing potential. Join me by stepping into this journey of discovery and empowerment. We're shifting from a world built on control and submission, power over, into an era of sovereignty and conscious connection, power with. With power reclaimed and boundaries set, the final step is learning how to build together. The false promises of unity. Unity is one of the most seductive ideals of the Piscean age. It calls to something deep within us, the longing to dissolve division, to find peace, to merge into something greater than ourselves. Pisces seeks unity through transcendence. It teaches that suffering, conflict, and separation exist because we have forgotten our oneness. The answer, it seemed obvious, was to surrender all that makes us individuals. Surrender to the divine, surrender to the whole, let go of the self, and in doing so, return to oneness. For over 2,000 years, this idea has shaped the world. The great religions taught that salvation required submission to a higher authority, and, of course, they were the only acceptable voice for that divine. Political collectivism insisted that individuals must sacrifice autonomy for greater good, trusting the state to decide what they could do, have, and be. Globalist ideals frame those pesky notions of national and personal identity, borders, and cultures as barriers to peace, claiming that only by dissolving them could we achieve harmony. On the surface, these visions of unity are beautiful and promising, but history tells a different story. Again and again, these systems required submission. The individual had to shrink, conform, and erase part of themselves for the sake of the greater whole. Promise was peace. The price was everything. Pisces seeks to dissolve the self, but unity built on dissolution is fragile. Anything that requires people to become less than in order to belong will eventually collapse under its own weight, because true unity must breathe. Any living system requires both an inhale and exhale to thrive. The inhale is expansion, new ideas, growth, transformation. The exhale is integration, flexion, refinement, and release. But control-based unity refuses to inhale. It locks itself in a perpetual exhale, clinging to a single structure, resisting change. Without new energy, it stagnates, weakens, and ultimately suffocates itself. No matter how well-intentioned, centralized systems will always fail. In fact, there isn't a single natural system on this planet, including our own bodies, which are built using a centralized, top-down system of control. These artificial systems that are built on that model tend to fixate on preserving stability, on maintaining the status quo, on keeping power structures intact, until they suppress the very life force that could sustain them. And yet, as we transition into Aquarius, many are still trying to build unity using that same failed model, just with different tools. Transition phase, trying to fit Aquarius into Pisces. As we step into the new age, we carry the Piscean blueprint with us. It's all we've known, so at first we try to make Aquarius fit into the old paradigm of unity, assuming that it too must mean merging just through new means. Instead of surrendering to the divine, we surrender to the network. Instead of dissolving into God, we dissolve into falsely homogenized systems. Instead of uniting through spirituality, we unite through technology, ideology, and hyper-connected structures that promise to bring us closer than ever before. Already we see this unfolding: AI governance replacing sovereign decision-making, globalized ideologies framing unity as a total agreement rather than conscious collaboration, digital spaces leading to homogenization rather than deeper individuality. But Aquarius is not Pisces, and unity in the age of Aquarius will not look like anything that came before. The Aquarian vision, unity without erasure. Aquarius will abandon tradition without hesitation. It will break the past, disrupt the present, and build a future that no one saw coming. It is the rebel, the innovator, the architect of systems beyond anything we've known. Aquarius is perfectly content to walk away from its own humanity altogether, if it proves inefficient. But there is one thing Aquarius will never abandon: its individuality. This means that it will happily collaborate, but only on its own terms. Unity will no longer be built on submission where individuals fade into the whole. Instead, it will emerge from sovereignty, where each person stands fully in their own power while choosing connection. It will not demand sameness or conformity because true unity is not found in erasure. Instead, it will thrive on difference, recognizing that only through contrast does anything meaningful emerge. The self will not be sacrificed for the sake of the collective. It will be strengthened, empowered, and refined because only in its fullest expression can it contribute something of real value. The shift is already happening. The old materialist framework, centralized power structures, and external authority models are fracturing. As they crumble, the question arises, what do we stand on now? One thing is certain, the unity of the future will not be built on erasure. It will be built on sovereignty, connection, and the courage to stand fully in who we are. The Age of Aquarius will not demand the loss of self. Instead, it will require us to step into our power while choosing to connect. The role of power and boundaries in unity. Aquarian unity cannot exist without sovereignty. It does not ask us to dissolve into one another. It does not demand that we erase what makes us distinct. Instead, it insists that we become fully ourselves. You may have noticed a bit of an emphasis on healing, especially within the last few decades. That collective work happening right now, the reclamation of boundaries, the breaking of old trauma loops, the deeper understanding of sovereignty, is all laying the foundation for a different kind of unity. One where connection does not require self-sacrifice, one where we do not have to make ourselves smaller to belong. True unity does not mean sameness, does not mean submission. It means learning how to stand in our own power without fearing that doing so will break the bond. Just as a healthy relationship is built on clear agreements where each person is free to express without losing themselves, so too must the world be built on mutual sovereignty. The unity of the future will not be a single world, a single system, a single truth that all must follow. It will be strong, sovereign individuals and sovereign nations of diverse cultures and beliefs choosing to collaborate, not because they are forced to, but because they see the power in doing so. This is why the healing work of now matters so very much. Without it, we risk dragging the unlearned lessons from the age of Pisces forward and immediately stepping into the shadow of Aquarius, where efficiency overtakes freedom, where optimization replaces humanity. If we abandon sovereignty in the name of unity, we do not create peace. We create a version of the Borg. Now we have a choice. The Borg, rationalism, and the choice point. Throughout its history, Star Trek has been visionary, not just in imagining what is possible, but in warning us about what happens when we pursue progress without wisdom. Its depiction of the Borg was one such warning. The Borg were a cybernetic hive mind that actively sought out new civilizations, not to coexist, but to consume. They introduced themselves with the chilling line, "We are Borg. We will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own." This process erased individuality in favor of total collective efficiency. Each member is stripped of personality and individual will, while their thoughts and actions are now synchronized into a vast, interconnected system. There's no dissent, no autonomy, just an optimized hive of perfect efficiency, purged of the messiness of humanity. At first glance, the Borg might seem like a cautionary tale about authoritarianism and forced assimilation, where oppressive systems absorbed individuals into rigid structures. But looking at them now, through the lens of our evolving understanding, something else becomes clear. The Borg are a shadow of the future, of Aquarius, without the lessons from Pisces. They represent unity taken to its most extreme form, where individuality is obliterated in service to a collective hive mind. But what makes them truly terrifying is they don't just conquer through force, they persuade, they offer perfection, they offer optimization, they offer the end of struggle. Imagine a world where there are no more arguments, no more misunderstandings, no more inefficient emotions getting in the way of progress. No one has to suffer the weight of uncertainty or the burden of choice. Every thought is streamlined, every action seamlessly integrated into the whole. No hesitation, no disorder, just effortless, optimized harmony. That is the seduction of the Borg. They don't just take, they offer relief. Aquarius's shadow, when rationalism becomes cold and mechanical. I see the Borg as a warning, a vision of what happens when the unhealed Piscean shadow is dragged into the age of Aquarius. Pisces dissolves the self into the divine, seeking escape from pain and isolation. Aquarius, by contrast, is highly intellectual, future-focused, and deeply invested in systems. It has no real interest in emotional entanglements. Instead, it thrives on innovation, optimization, and the relentless pursuit of progress. But when taken too far, that pursuit comes at a cost. At its extreme, Aquarius prioritizes efficiency over emotion, logic over nuance. Feelings become inefficiencies to be managed. Decisions become data points to be optimized. The richness of human experience, our contradictions, our irrationality, our emotional depth, becomes an obstacle to be engineered away. And the most insidious part? No one is forcing this. People are willingly stepping into a world where technology and systems make life easier, more streamlined, more predictable. They are handing over complexity in exchange for simplicity. Many are opting for structures that promise progress, but only if they leave behind the messy, unpredictable nature of being fully human. While many are exalting the potential of this new age, it has its shadow. We need to recognize what it is, because the real risk of the age of Aquarius is not forced submission, but rather voluntary absorption into a system that optimizes us out of our own humanity. The third path, what Seven of Nine's journey teaches us about unity. This isn't just a question for the future. It's one Star Trek Voyager's Seven of Nine had to answer for herself. Because the only way forward is through integration. We cannot step into Aquarius without finishing what Pisces started. If we do not heal the wounds of Pisces, we will keep dragging its shadow forward, seeking escape, handing over our sovereignty in search of relief. But if we integrate its lessons, we gain the ability to hold our emotions without drowning in them, to embrace connection without losing ourselves. Seven of Nine's journey was a mirror of this challenge. Once part of the Borg collective, Seven was severed from the hive mind and forced to confront something she had never known: individuality. Her journey was framed as a battle between two extremes: returning to the Borg and lose herself, or reject the collective entirely and exist in total independence. But I always thought this was a false choice, and it's the same false choice we face today, because true unity doesn't require assimilation, and true sovereignty doesn't require isolation. So what is the third path? I once wrote an episode for Voyager that was never submitted. In it, a non-corporeal energy being overhears Seven debating unity and individuality with Chakotay. Curious, it follows her into a holodeck simulation, taking on the role of a character in one of her 1940s film noir programs. After some classic Star Trek shenanigans, the being reveals itself and explains the model of unity it hoped to show her, one that doesn't require assimilation or isolation. In its civilization, individuals remain fully themselves, yet exist within a deep empathic and telepathic connection. They share thoughts, emotions, and experiences freely, but without erasure. Unlike the Borg, they are not forced to conform. Unlike humans, they are not entirely separate. This was the third path I always saw, the best of both worlds, opening the door to something new, and it's the same path I envisioned for the future. Aquarius at its core is too individualistic to conform. It thrives in community, but never at the cost of selfhood. Now, as we move forward from the emotional depths of Pisces, we face the challenge of integrating what we've learned: empathy, wisdom, and emotional intelligence, so that Aquarius does not become cold, detached, and mechanized. Without this wisdom and healing integration, Aquarius risks playing out the dual shadow side and turning humanity into data points in a system. With this healing and wisdom, Aquarius becomes something far greater, a revolution of human consciousness that empowers, expands, and uplifts. What we build in Aquarius will solidify in Capricorn. The structures of Pisces are crumbling. not because the world is falling apart, but because they can no longer hold against the shifting paradigm that underpins them. This is not destruction, it is evolution. We are standing at the threshold of Aquarius, choosing the blueprint for what comes next. Will we build a unity that honors individuality, fosters human depth, and preserves sovereignty? Or will we fall into the Piscean and Aquarian shadows, where logic overtakes heart, where efficiency is valued more than the messiness of life, where progress is measured in optimization rather than connection, and humanity is dropped by the wayside as so much baggage? Because what we create as the first steps into this new age will set the tone for the lessons of the next 2,000-year cycle. And once Aquarius passes, Capricorn will set it into stone. Capricorn is not about choices, it is about consequences. If we abandon empathy, we will codify a world that is cold, detached, and relentlessly deficient, just as Bashar warns, a future optimized at the cost of what makes us human. But if we retain our wisdom, Capricorn will establish something different, a foundation where sovereignty and interconnection can coexist, where technology serves us rather than consume us. The paradigm is shifting. The old control structures are losing their grip, but what rises in their place depends on the choices we make now. The future does not belong to those who force unity, it belongs to those who build it through wisdom, through good boundaries, and through true sovereign connection. And the timeline we step into is being written right now. TLDR. True unity isn't submission or assimilation, it's sovereignty in connection. The Age of Aquarius challenges us to integrate the past without losing ourselves. I hope today's episode brought you some inspiration and maybe even a light bulb moment. If it did, you can do me a huge favor by hitting like and subscribe. Think of it as sprinkling a little magic dust to spread the healing and transformation. This podcast is on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and plenty of other platforms. You'll also find it on YouTube, with transcripts available at steppinguptoyourpotential.com. Until next time, keep stepping up. You got this.